Dear Kostas, welcome to my house. I'm so happy to see you even under these circumstances. And thank you very much for responding to my invitation. So with Kostas, we date back to our student years. Okay, so I'm very happy to have this interview with you. Kostas Theodorakakos, would you like to tell us a few things about yourself, what you do, about your company, Anchor Shipbroking, and where do you specialize?
Hi, Dimitris. Thanks a lot for welcoming me to your house. Welcome to my house as well in these strange times that we are all living. I'm a sell and purchase broker. I work at Anchor Shipbroking. We started the company something like 15, 16 months ago.
But you date really back yes. When it comes to shipbroking.
We are all we are working as shipbrokers for the last 10, 15 years. And we have also part of the company who has been working for at least 45 years in the sale and purchase sector. We are specializing in all aspects of sale and purchase, second-hand, new buildings, demolition, or recycling, as they say these days.
So I will start with a pretty obvious question. The sense you're getting from the market now regarding the appetite and deals concluded. So what can you tell us about that?
The appetite is reducing every day, unfortunately for us. And it's making it very difficult to do our job properly. On the new building, let's start with that. The prices remain very high for the last 2 years, mostly compared to modern second-hand units. So it does not make a lot of sense for a buyer to go order a new building rather than buying a very economical second-hand modern unit.
Okay, so if I may interrupt and ask, what about the second-hand vessels? How is the market reacting there?
As you well know, the main players on the second-hand side should be Chinese and Greeks. And the Chinese have been very active the last months, and mostly active the last 2-3 weeks when the measures were a bit lighter in China. These days that the measures are back up and they have new cases every day, it's been very, very difficult to find the proper willing Chinese buyer to move for older second-hand units. On the Greek side, I would say that there is interest. Buyers are looking for vessels. The thing is that they are not willing to pay current prices. And they believe that the prices will significantly drop in the next 2-3 months. If the situation continues like this, of course.
Okay.
Other than that, we have a very, very serious issue, which is a practical issue concerning the actual delivery of a vessel. I mean, Dimitris, even if you have a willing buyer and a willing seller there to do a deal, and there to fix the price, and there to fix the terms, the main issue remains for the last 15-20 days, the actual delivery of the vessel in a lot of ports around the globe.
I imagine that you have ports that have been closed, you have countries on lockdown, airports not working. So what's happening there?
There are 2-3 options available, which a buyer and a seller can choose to do, which are unheard before, but still there. The main issue is that most of our East, like Singapore, China, Korea, have decided not to allow any crew changes. That means that if you have to deliver a vessel in one of these countries, you need to either keep the crew of the seller, which is an option, but the crew has to agree, the manning agent has to agree, the technical manager has to agree. Wow. There's a lot of discussion there. And there is also another option, which I don't know if anyone will take, which is to actually purchase the owning company of the vessel. Of course, along with the liabilities that they have. So it demands a great amount of trust between the parties in order to go that way. And the The other way that you can do is find a country like Indonesia, for example, which can agree to crew changes, but that goes with a 15-day quarantine for both incoming and outgoing crews.
I see. So quite a few difficulties there. So let's hope for the best. Let's see how's the market gonna evolve around that and how's the whole situation gonna evolve. Next question is about recycling. I heard and I read that all the major players in recycling, like India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, have ceased recycling activity lately due to the lockdown. So do you have any comments on that?
Like most countries have taken measures, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh have also taken measures. One of these measures is the lockdown of all the recycling yards. That means that there is no recycling activity in any of these countries. And up until yesterday, what I read was that India will be closed until 3rd of May, which is to be revised, of course, in a later stage, depending on how COVID-19
evolves. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
As we all gonna do. Yeah.
True. True. From what I've heard and from what I've discussed with some friends working in recycling business, I understand that there is no activity at the moment on the buying side, meaning that even if you want to sell something for recycling, there is no one there to buy. Because a cash buyer buys the vessel and then he will have to keep the vessel. He will not be able to take her into a recycling yard. That means that there will be loss of money there. The only case would be for an as-is delivery in Far East, maybe, that will give a cash buyer a window of 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and hopefully the recycling yards will be open, and hopefully they will be able to sell the vessel to an end buyer and do the deal.
A following up question around recycling. Wilhelmsen announced it would recycle 4 vessels as demand for automobiles is feeling the impact of COVID-19. What other sectors do you feel will be forced to send vessels for scrap in order to handle low demand and oversupply of vessels?
Wilhelmsen units were car carriers, and automobiles will be one of the first sectors affected from this COVID-19 and a change in consumers' habits. That will also affect containers, and we expect a lot of units to go for recycling in the upcoming months or years. And also we're expecting bulk carriers to go for recycling. Bulk carriers, due to the fact that there are a lot of older units like late 90s, early zeros built, still marketed. Not a lot of buyers there, and with the latest IMO regulations, I don't see any willing owners to spend $800,000-900,000 in the next year with the current market on upgrading or passing dry docks. So I think containers and dry units will be mostly affected. And lastly, from what I've heard and after discussion I had with a lot of specialists in recycling business, I understand that a lot of oil rigs are also on the way to be recycled.
Oil rigs?
Yeah. I think it's mostly because of the oil price, which is very low, and the demand these days is extremely low as well.
One last question from my part. What impact do you believe that COVID-19 will have and the whole situation will have on the ship values in short, mid and long term?
On the short term, I don't think there will be a lot of differences on prices, meaning in the next weeks or 1 to 2 months. By the end of the year, I expect a drop on prices on the dry side, and mainly due to the fact that the buyers will be less. So all the buyers will be expecting a low price in order to move. On the tanker side, the prices remain high. The market helps them, to keep the prices high, and we will have to see how the oil will go in the coming months. What we see nowadays is we see a lot of interest for older units and the larger units, like older Suezmaxes and older VLCCs, mostly for storage units in the Far East or the Gulf.
So, Kostas, thank you very much for your time.
For the invitation.
It was a pleasure talking to you, and we'll be in touch. We can have another interview after a couple of months to see, to compare and see where we are. Okay?
Don't compare. Never compare.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Goodbye.